Hello. Before we start, actually, I just wanted to say, in case there are any Saudi Arabians watching tonight, that we're not, over the next 25 minutes, going to say anything derogatory about your nation. Because we feel that you are a wonderful, warm-hearted people with a fantastic culture and an awful lot of oil. And if you want to execute your princesses, well, fine by us, go ahead as many as you like. Actually, you could have one of ours if you... or two, to be exact. But anyway, I mean, the main point is that, I think, for one, that Britain would be a much better country if it had a really strict system of discipline like yours. And I think it's a great pity that we can't afford to, because, if we did, rich Arabs wouldn't be able to come over here and gamble and screw and get pissed.
All right, Pogsy. Been up to your old tricks again, have you? Well, you know the form. You can make one phone call, so hurry up and make it.
3521, hello?
Lord Carrington, in apologising again to Saudi Arabia for the ITV programme Death of a Princess, says he offers the Saudis the hand of friendship, which previously belonged to the producer of the documentary.
Mrs. Thatcher has ordered an immediate inquiry into the number of jobless blacks. She feels there aren't enough.
Unconfirmed sources report that Colonel Gaddafi of Libya has survived a second assassination attempt. Doctors say that the bullet went right through the middle of his head, missing his brain by 6 feet.
Princess Anne has now been accused of mistreating a dumb, defenceless animal, but the palace says it's his own fault for marrying her in the first place.
In the past few years, there have been some extraordinary breakthroughs in communication between men and animals. Some outstanding cases being those with dolphins and with owls. But in the forefront of this field is Professor Timothy Fielding and his experiments with a gorilla called Gerald. Professor, can Gerald really speak as we would understand it?
Oh, yes. I mean, he can speak a few actual words. Of course, it was extremely difficult to get him even to this stage. When I first captured Gerald in the Congo, I'm 67, I think it was.
68.
68. There was an awful lot of work to do. He was enormously slow and difficult. I had to do a lot of work with him on a sort of one-to-one basis.
If I might just butt in at this point, Tim, I think I should point out that I have done a considerable amount of work on this project myself, and if I may say so, your teaching methods do leave a bit to be desired. And your diction, for instance, is
I'm
not
sorry,
really
can I put this into some sort of perspective? When I caught Gerald in 68, he was completely wild.
Wild? I was absolutely livid.
Clearly, all that's changed now.
Yes.
Because, of course, you've been brought up in the professor's own house.
Yes, he's living with me, yes.
Though not in the biblical sense.
Yes, I was going to ask you, actually, Gerald, do you have a mate?
Yeah, I've got lots of mates. There's the professor, there's his son Toby, there's Raymond next door.
Well, no, actually...
Oh, I see what you mean. Crumpet. Well...
You didn't tell me you were friendly with Raymond?
Well, do I have to tell you everything?
Well, anyway, for about 9 years we began to work.
You know how you tell jokes about the Irish not being very clever?
Yes.
Well, back home we tell the same jokes about orangutans who are famous for being all that bright.
I've heard
Really?
And, for instance, have you heard the one about the orangutan who ate a pomegranate with a banana?
No.
Well, it loses a lot in translation. It's very, very, very funny.
Have you been seeing him very often?
I see. Well, Professor, to come back to my earlier question, how has Gerald reacted to being separated from his family?
Well, to begin with, Gerald did make various attempts to contact his old flange of gorillas.
It's a whoop, Professor, a whoop of gorillas. It's a flange of baboons.
He sent them the occasional letter, but I couldn't really see the point. I mean, they either ate them or wiped their bottoms on them. I mean...
Look, I know you've never got on with my mother.
Well, she didn't exactly like me, did she?
She got on perfectly well with David Attenborough.
David Attenborough! All I ever hear is David bloody Attenborough.
Let's leave Dave out of this.
Oh, shut up and have a banana.
All right.
If I could interrupt for a minute. Gerald, I believe you've been earning some money doing TV commercials and so on. What do you spend your earnings on?
I suppose you'd expect me to say that I spend most of my money on peanuts, bananas, and carpet cleaner.
No, not at all.
Yeah, well, I do spend about 95% of it on those. But the rest goes on little luxuries. I'm very keen on Johnny Mathis.
Yes, you're not kidding, are you? When a child is born blaring out till all hours while I'm downstairs trying to do some work.
Look, the production on that album is amazing.
It's my serious scientific project and you behave like an absolute child.
I went to evening classes.
Oh, shut up about your bloody evening classes, Joe.
As Aristotle once said,
Oh.
Izoi ine enanguri, igineka ine tipavilato.
You arrogant little bastard, you're wrecking my... I mean, do you think it's easy? Do you think it's easy for me?
Easy for you. I spent half my life in quarantine.
Trampling around the garden, eating the daffodils?
I do not eat daffodils.
Well, somebody does, don't they?
Well, perhaps we could leave it there. Gerald, Professor, thank you very much indeed.
All-out superpower confrontation. All-out superpower confrontation. If I had a bomb and a plane to drop it from, I'd drop it on you. World leaders, I'll add it up to here with your verbal diarrhea, your power crazy leaders. All-out superpower confrontation. All-out superpower confrontation. Wouldn't give a toss if a bit of chaos went your way. Wouldn't feel remorse if a little holocaust got you. Wouldn't it be nice if a nuclear device had landed on your wall? Tarantino's funeral procession. Jimmy Carter must have known. That's why he's played at home. If I had a bomb and a plane to drop it from, I'd drop it on you. World leaders, drop it on you. World leaders, if I had a bomb and a plane to drop it from, it'd be an all-out superpower confrontation. All-out superpower confrontation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Captain Wang and his crew welcome you aboard Flight 1203 to Los Angeles. We hope you'll have a pleasant flight and that we don't encounter any turbulence and crash the plane. For your own safety and convenience, please locate the instruction card in the pouch in front of you. It is situated between the crumpled magazine with the Robert Morley interviews and the piece of orange peel. We would like to stress that in the unlikely event of anything going wrong, any attempt to escape from the aircraft is futile. Please fasten your safety belt and extinguish your cigarette. Shame though it is to waste your last one. When disaster strikes, there may be a slight loss of cabin pressure and a reduction in the number of wings. In this event, a plastic mask will automatically drop down. Place it over your nose and pull hard to release the oxygen. Then attempt to fit the broken cord back into the hole from which the air is now pouring. Please note that your life jacket is under your seat. It is impossible to get it out, particularly with your seatbelt on, so we have one already prepared here. Place it over your head, then tie the straps around you. To inflate, pull the green tag, press the yellow button, unzip the toggle pocket, unscrew the air valve anti-clockwise, and yell, "Inflate, you stupid bugger." Next, remove from your person any sharp objects, such as fragments of red-hot engine casing, and make your way to the escape routes. These are located over the wings, so you people there, and there have absolutely no chance, and we apologize for having wasted your time. Well, enough of this maudlin talk. This has been your chief stewardess speaking, and demonstrating the regulations was Lola, who's a right little strumpet and willing to oblige you in any way at all. Captain Wang and his crew wish you a very short and pleasant flight.
Yeah, I think I've learned a great lesson from Chappaquiddick. It is a lesson that could benefit a great number of my fellow Americans. And the lesson is, don't drive across narrow bridges when you're pissed out of your mind.
Well, hello, and tonight I'm talking to Billy Connolly, a well-known Scottish comedian. Billy, I understand that when you first came to England, people had a lot of trouble understanding your accent. Is that right?
Sorry?
Right, shut up. I suppose that's as quiet as we'll get it. Right, now most of you have been to these gatherings before, so I won't explain too much. We are in the very coveted position this morning of actually having a hospital bed to spare. And in the usual way, I'm afraid I must award it to the most deserving case. Now, you all know the allocation system, so I won't waste any more time. Who's going to start the bidding? Do I hear measles? Measles, anyone? Come on, this is a hospital bed going empty. Come on. Do I hear measles?
Influenza?
No, I'm sorry, come on, that's just a long lie in. I must start the bidding at measles.
Measles.
Measles, thank you, madam. Measles from the lady with the spots. Okay, at measles, and you've answered measles. Measles. Pneumonia, thank you, sir, pneumonia. Het pneumonia, then, het pneumonia. Double pneumonia. Any advance on double pneumonia? Sorry? Amnesia? Laryngitis. No, I'm sorry, sir, we're already at double pneumonia. Any advance on double pneumonia? Do I hear double pneumonia and a duodenal ulcer? Thank you, sir. Does it hurt? Yes, and it's painful. Double pneumonia and a duodenal ulcer, that is painful. Any advance on that? Malaria, thank you, sir. Malaria. Come on, malaria, come on, it's not exactly terminal. Come on, malaria. Look, I have to tell you, I have a reserve on this bed. I've already received a telephone offer of rabies. Come on, I must hurry you. It's a very good bed near the television room. Smallpox. Thank you, sir. Smallpox. What, pleurisy? No, I'm sorry, pleurisy is just a complication of smallpox. I think you're bidding against yourself there, sir. Smallpox, then still at smallpox. Deep depression from the man on the window ledge. Thank you, sir. Deep depression then. Going to the man on the window ledge. Going. Gone! The man on the window ledge has gone. So I'm afraid I'll have to start the bidding again.
Bonsoir. J'ai un plaisir énorme à être ici ce soir.
It is a great delight to be here tonight, a great joy to be back in England with all your beautiful English men with whom I like sleeping a great deal. I was told an alarming but very funny joke the other day. What is green, red, and travels at 60 miles per hour? A frog in a Kenwood mixer. Ha, 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 ha. But enough of that. I wish to talk to you tonight on the subject of heart surgery. Excuse me while I put on my glasses. Ah, that's better. At least 4 hours before the operation, the patient must be fully knocked out. When on the table, we start by taking a scalpel sort of thing, something like that, and cutting in slices from the, neck really, down to the, what is it, technical term for navel, a prenatal knot. Then insert a, literal translation, a sacrificial dagger. Must be a better word than that. Anyway, take the sacrificial dagger, shove it in, and then try to knot up the macaroni-shaped thing, sort of fan belt affair. Well, there's something in there loose anyway, so tie a knot in it. Then scoop out the bouillon. Oh God. Something to do with raw meat. Turkish delight, KY jelly, that kind of thing. in order to stop it forming, happens to cream. Very stupid people. Clots, that's right. Then take a kind of tissue thing, sanitary towel over the, I just told you, lardy, squidgy sort of jelly sort of stuff. And then we'll grab this thing and slice, sever, tear out, emasculate the same word as the inside of a haggis. Yes. Then, that done, put back in, well, whatever it was you took out, sew it up, and, hey presto, the job is done. Sometimes, you find that the patient is already dead. But as you say in English, c'est la vie. Thank you.
And now, here are the main points again. Mark Phillips has changed the names of all his horses to Blair Peach. This is so he can kick them without fear of prosecution.
A world defense strategist has announced that he has analysed the reason for the current behaviour of the USA. He says the Americans are trying to make up for the fact that they were late for the last 2 world wars by being really punctual this time.
And commenting on last week's disclosures about overcrowding in prisons, Mrs. Thatcher says that long-term inmates should be given the opportunity to buy their own cells.
Hi. Feeding 5,000 hungry mouths wasn't easy for a working messiah, especially if he had as much housework to do as I do. So how much easier it would have been if new instant pot meals had been available then. Just add boiling water to one of these delicious fish and loaf-flavoured instant snacks and make a tasty meal in seconds. With enough left over to fill 12 baskets. New instant pot meals. It's a bloody miracle.
Well, that was an excerpt from the controversial and some would say scurrilous new British picture, the General Synod's Life of Christ. The film deals with the rise to fame and greatness of a humble carpenter's son named Jesus Christ. But many people have seen in the film a thinly disguised and blasphemous attack on the life of Monty Python. Python worshippers claim the film sets out to ridicule by parody the actual members of Monty Python, men who even today are worshipped and revered throughout the Western world. Now, Alexander Walker, what did you think of the picture?
Well, I was appalled. I actually find it deeply offensive that in a country that is still ostensibly a Python-worshipping country, that a 14-year-old child can actually get in to see this film. There is little enough proper Python around these days without parading this distorted garbage about.
Bishop, you directed the film. Did you expect this kind of reaction?
Well, I certainly didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition. Yes, I did direct the film, and I feel as though I must emphasize at this stage that it is not about Python.
Oh, come on.
I'm not a Pythonist. I'm not a Pythonist myself, but obviously I have a tremendous amount of respect for people like Alexander, who are...
Oh, come now, Bishop. The leading figure in this film, what is it? Jesus Christ. It's quite clearly a lampoon of the comic messiah himself, our Lord John Cleese. Even the initials, JC, are exactly the same.
I must explain. I must explain to you, the Christ figure is not Cleese.
Oh, come on.
No, he's just an ordinary man who happens to have been born in Weston-super-Mare at the same time as Mr. Cleese.
Jonathan, you know as well as I do.
He is mistaken for the comic messiah himself by vast crowds of people who follow him about, doing silly walks, shouting, no, not the comfy chair, and other slogans from the good book.
No, I'm sorry, Jonathan, whatever you say, this film is a highly distasteful one. Have people forgotten how Monty Python suffered for us?
I know.
How often the sketches failed? These men died for us, frequently.
Bishop, perhaps you feel that the film deteriorates the spiritual side of Monty Python.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, I disagree.
If Python is immortal, as Pythonists believe, then I can't believe that a mere film,
10th rate,
could put them off. I mean, in the words of John Cleese, whenever 2 or 3 are gathered together in one place, then they shall perform the parrot sketch.
It is an ex-parrot.
It has ceased to be.
Indeed. Well, Alexander Walker, the final scene of the picture has attracted the most attention.
Right, well, now here, I think we have the ultimate blasphemy. I mean, it is set in a hotel in Torquay, where literally hundreds of Spanish waiters are being clipped about the ear by this Jesus Christ bloke. It is obviously a lampoon of the comic messiah's greatest half hour.
It's not at all. The point, it's Torbay.
Thank you both very much indeed.
Torquay, I mean,
Bishop,
we're quibbling.
Alexander Walker, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. I mean, Jonathan,
We
really...
take a break now for some explicit sex, thinly disguised as choreography.
There's a man in Iran that I can't resist. Much revered, kind of weird. Got this chick in a twist. And even in these World War III times, I can't help wishing he was mine. Ayatollah, Khomeini close, and I will fall for your charms. Ayatollah, don't Khomeini close, or I will send out an alarm. Rush into your arms. Rush into his arms. Well, I used to love Sadat, but I've had that scene. She's had it, she's had it. I've been hit by Schmidt, and I once went for Begin. She began with Begin. Well, I had to discard Giscard, though he was kind of neat and clean. Unlike Barry Sheen. So I turned to this stranger's landed guy. Oh, is that the glint of love in his eye? Yes, Ayatollah, Khomeini close, and I will lose my cool. Ayatollah, don't Khomeini close, or I'll get a hold of you. Though you are as stubborn as a stew, I want you to be my man. I may be in England, but my heart's a hostage in Ayatollah, I want you so much, you dear old goat. Let me get on your goat. Oh, Ayatollah, but you're beautiful. Are there any more at home like you? Oh, Ayatollah, I love you. Imam, I'm making eyes at you. Oh, Ayatollah, it's too much. Ayatollah.
Abu Ben Adhem, may his tribe increase.
Awoke one night from a deep dream of peace.
And saw, within the moonlight in his room,
And to the presence in his room, he said,
What writest thou? The vision raised its head.
and with a look made of all sweet accord, answered,
And is mine one, said Abu. Nay, not so.
Replied the angel. Abu spake more low.
but cheerly still, and said, I pray thee then,
The angel heard and vanished. The next night,
It came again with a great awakening light.
And showed the names whom God of love had blessed, and lo,
He bloody does eat daffodils, you know.
Hello, all sitting comfortably good. We start this week with a letter from Mrs. Cook of Stevenage.
What tremendous value the BBC licence fee is. I wish all the critics would stop whining about it. I would willingly pay £400 a year for mine.
But Mr. Tully of Sidcup writes...
£32 for a TV licence? It's a disgrace. It's far too low. The excellent service the BBC provides, it should be at least £400.
Well, there you have it. This week we got a flock of letters concerning the test card. Miss J of Putney says...
Well done, the BBC. Another winner.
And Mr. Pittman of Camberwell adds...
The test card is quite magnificent. It justifies the licence fee on its own. Personally, I think the fee is far too low. I would willingly sell my house and all its contents to help the BBC.
But this wasn't everybody's point of view. Mr. Mulligan of Roehampton called to say...
I think the BBC is a load of crap.
Well, there we have it. I think you're a load of old crap too, Mr. Mulligan. Good night, sleep tight, hope the bugs don't bite.
If you want to write, praising the BBC to the skies, here is the address. Barry Took, care of almost every programme put out by the BBC, Helping Centre, London, West 12.
Bring back bloody ITV, that's what I say. This is the biggest load of cock I've ever seen. Load of bloody rubbish. This is typical. This is bloody typical. Why, if you think this is bad, if you think this programme's bad earlier tonight, I saw Nationwide. And that is crap. I know it's so bloody stupid, that programme. I think it's so bloody banal. Characterless commuter entertainment par excellence, that bloody programme. I mean, they really have interesting people on it, you notice? Really valuable, useful members of society. People who can play Monopoly with one foot. That's just sort of twat they have on Nationwide. People who can impersonate trombone. Oh, God, I hate it. And there's only one programme worse than this one, and Nationwide. And that's bloody life. That bloody life thing with that bloody bleeding Esther, bloody bleeding Just you make you sick. And they think they're so important, don't they? I mean, they really think they've got their fingers on the pulse of the nation. Have you noticed that? There's her swanning around in the foreground like an overgrown Walking Deadshire commercial. Shut up! And behind her, there's that cross-eyed baboon who fights around in front of the rubber plant. And behind him, there's those two Nancy boys who... I mean, these people are famous, for Christ's sake. Where's the coming to, eh? Bloody podwire. Right, tell you what, one person I really hate on RT bloody B, and that's Janet bloody Street bloody Porter. She really does... All right. ITV's answer to Esther bloody Ransom, that woman. What a pair, eh? Incredible, isn't it? I mean, don't these people go to dentists? It's a disgrace. God created the earth in 6 days. On the 7th day he rested, and on the Monday morning he got it with a hangover and created Janet Street bloody Porter.
Fat, plump, obese, porky, wobble bottom. These are all terms of abuse that are constantly aimed at the overweight in our society. And tonight on the panel, we have representing the Stout community, George Fletcher.
Hello.
And the Reverend John Tabbs Whiston, a Stout Christian.
Good evening.
I'd like to start with you, George, if I may. Is stoutness as big a problem as you're making out?
Yeah, it's huge.
Oh.
And I'd like to start out by opening something up to the audience, if I can. Can I ask anybody in the audience who is stout, or who thinks he might be stout, to please raise his hand? Well, I think there it is in a nutshell. You see, stout people are afraid to stand up for fear that they might never find their feet in a society in which, for example, they are openly prodded onto trains, in which police, quite without provocation, break into stout snack bars and giggle openly, and in which they are surrounded by stoutest graffiti. And an obvious example is maximum load 8 persons.
So you feel like in fact, the more fat people...
No, it's stout, it's stout.
Sorry,
it's stout. I'm sorry, but this is absolutely crucial, Jan. It's absolutely central. You see, we are not flabbies. We're not gut buckets. We're not pork features. We're not. And down these narrow streets a man must go. We are stout and we're proud.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we'll take our first question from the audience.
Yes. I'd like to ask the Reverend Whiston how far he would go to gain recognition for stouts. I'm thinking particularly of the recent call box demonstrations.
Right.
Did you hear the gentleman?
Yes, indeed. Well, I think this is very much a matter for one's own conscience. I mean, personally, one is not the sort of person who would go down one's high street dressed only in one's underpants, shouting, "Look at me, I'm enormous."
Yeah, but, John, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Oh, George.
All right, well, we'll take the next question, please. I think it's Mr. Rogers over there. Yeah.
I have a friend who thinks he may be stout. What sort of advice can the panel give him?
Yeah. My advice to your friend will be absolutely straightforward. He must declare his stoutness now. He must squeeze out of the closet.
Yes, and I think there is a lot of help that can be given these days because the present stout counselling idea...
This is all crap!
Oh, no.
We've been sitting here listening to a load of wobbly...
It's Ron Miller. It's Ron Miller.
About the middle-class bullshit.
Introduce yourself, Ron. Introduce yourself. This is Ron Miller of the extremist group Flab, Fat Louts Against Bikinis.
Ron.
Look at Ron.
Chuck, listen, look at this Slimming magazine. Slimming magazine. This isn't a million miles from what Adolf Hitler was trying to do. We demand a fat prime minister, more obesity in the media, the banning of the word ample. We want the force feeding of skinny.
Ron, you're doing the movement more harm than good.
Where was the Reverend Whiston at Notting Hill Gate in '79 during the worst flab riots this country's ever seen?
I hardly think this is
organising plump discos, I expect.
Listen, Ron, I'm sorry to be personal, but I mean, you're talking about stoutism. You're not stout. You're not even overweight. In fact, you're skinny.
So you have to be fat to be stout now, dear.
Thin puff.
What do you say?
Yeah, well,
You heard me.
I
don't have to take that from you, you great wobble bottom.
Sit down. I think we'll have enough now. Thank you very much. Next week we have Nazis against fascism.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I live on the 14th floor of a tower block, and when I get bored, I call cooey to the passers-by, and when they look up, I gob in their eye. 'Cause I hate your guts. Come on, you. Kick you in the nuts. You're a stupid old git. Come on, you. 'Cause you're full of shit. Every night, go down to the pub and look for a fight. I have 10 lagers, then I have 10 more, then I jump up and down, and I'm sick on the floor. 'Cause your hands are cold. Come on, yeah. 'Cause you're far too old. Come on, yeah. 'Cause you're a stupid old straight. Go, 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 hey, 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 hey. Sex is boring too long. Gob on you. 'Cause you're never wrong. Gob on you. In your Oxbridge punt. Gob on you. You're the National Front. Gob on you. 'Cause you're well insured. Gob on you. 'Cause I'm young and bored. Gob on you. 'Cause you talk about art. Gob on you. 'Cause you're a boring old fart.
The new president of Zimbabwe, the Reverend Canaan Banana, has denied accusations of nepotism among his cabinet. The statement was co-signed by Cardinal Moses Pineapple, the Reverend Nada Baningi Toffee Apple, and the Prime Minister, Mr. Robert Rubabe.
Another of Mr. Mugabe's guerrilla commanders has been refused service in a Salisbury hotel for not wearing a tie. The manager was later sacked for not wearing a head.
The Italian entry to the Eurovision Song Contest, I Can't Get No Contraception, has been cancelled after the Pope advised them to pull it out at the last minute.
Puerto Rican police have confirmed that the main turbine failure which brought the island to a standstill was the work of saboteurs. Apparently they found traces of Horlicks in the donkey.
A man who killed his best friend in a drunken brawl walked free from a Dublin court after the jury accepted his defence that he was suffering from premenstrual tension. And it is my intention to prove to this court that my client is completely innocent of the charges of theft for which he stands accused. In evidence, I will produce receipts. Receipts given to me by my client as definite proof of purchase for the 3 articles allegedly stolen. This one for the digital watch. This one...
Digital watch? What on earth is a digital watch?
Sorry, my lord. A digital watch. It's a watch worked by microelectronics.
How fascinating. Proceed.
Thank you, my lord. I will also be producing a receipt for the automatic video recorder, which I...
Automatic video?
Yes, they're quite popular these days, my lord. It's a machine that records television programmes on special tape.
How fascinating. What will they think of next? Proceed.
Thank you, my lord. And finally, I will produce in this court a receipt for my client's deluxe model inflatable woman. Whatever that is.
The deluxe is the one with the real hair and the light like
a Are you a gay Christian? No, it's all right. I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I mean, if homosexuality is your thing, if that's the bag you're into, then that's great. Fantastic. I mean, don't be ashamed. Whatever you do, I mean, stand up. Come out of the toilet, as the phrase has it. And stand up and say, I am tempted to be a homosexual. And it'll be fine. And you may even decide after much prayer to enter into a committed and tempted relationship with a member of the same genital group. And if you do, and you feel you can do nothing about it, and you've been to a psychiatrist, and you've had aversion therapy, and you've tried tying metal weights to your private parts, and you still feel these tendencies, then I'm afraid it means that God just wants you to have a rotten life. God's like that. He hates puffs.
Right, and if you could just read your final list of demands, please, gentlemen. Hawkins, take notes, if you will.
Well, first we asked for the graduated power sharing scheme. That scheme, yes. Then the reduction to a 35-hour week by 1981. 35. the upgrading of differentials with regard to other settlements made by the firm this year.
differentials parity.
And finally, myself and Mr. Stewart here would like to sleep with your wife, Lady.
Sleep with Lady Grant.
Those are our final terms.
If you'll just give us a minute to consult, please. No, I'm sorry. Not only is the differentials clause very shaky, but as far as I'm concerned, once a month with my wife is quite unacceptable under present circumstances.
Oh, come on, Grant, we're wasting our time.
However, I am willing to propose once a month with Mr. Hawkins' wife.
I reckon if it's Mr. Hawkins' wife, it'll have to be at least twice a month.
Right.
Twice a month?
3 or 4 times.
All right, well, I'll make you an offer then. Both of you every week with Mr. Hawkins' wife. Plus the automatic bottle opener that you saw us using at the Christmas party last year.
Oh, come on. Come on, gentlemen, be realistic.
Plus use of this swivel chair in future negotiations.
I like the swivel chair.
I like the swivel chair. What do you think of Mrs. Hawkins?
Definitely not.
Right. Neither of us fancy Mrs. Hawkins, I'm afraid.
Why not? Well, how about your daughter, Hawkins?
She's only 8.
That needn't matter. Gentlemen. The graduated power sharing scheme, 35-hour week, all that rubbish. Use of the swivel chair. The automatic bottle opener with its instruction booklet. Mr. Hawkins's daughter to be phased in by 1991. Plus, my wife's recipe for ratatouille.
Lemon ice cream.
No.
Oh, come on, it sounds fair enough to me.
Not the recipe for lemon ice cream.
Come on, man, we're talking
men
about...
want the ice cream.
I'm sorry, that is not the offer. The offer is ratatouille.
What about the ice cream?
Ice cream is not on the table.
Right, I'm afraid that's it. We'll have to call the end of the meeting.
No,
Instruct our members.
Just a moment, gentlemen. Just a moment, gentlemen. The swivel chair to take home at weekends. The automatic bottle opener. And some money.
I like bouncing, boing, 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 up and down until I get a pain in me groin. To be happy and when it really counts, turn into a rubber ball and bounce, bounce, bounce. Bouncing down the club with this bird named Dennis. I said to her in passing I was pretty good at tennis. She looked me up and down and said it doesn't need announcing, judging by the way your balls are bouncing. Bouncing, boing, boing, up and down until I get a pain in me groin. Try to be happy and when it really counts, turn into a rubber ball and bounce, bounce, bounce. I'll get him in the morning and I bounce around the bed. If me mum comes in to wake me up, I bounce on her instead. When I'm in the bathroom, I bounce around the bath. But you wanna try to shit and bounce, I'm really quite a Try to be happy and when it really counts, turn into a rubber ball and bounce, bounce, bounce.
Thank you, sir.
And I shall need a car.
That'll be $50 deposit, sir.
American Express?
That'll do nicely, sir. And would you like to rub my tits, too?
Put your head in between them and go blubbery, blubbery, blubber with American Express.
And now, here are the main points again.
Roddy Llewellyn has sympathised with Prince Charles, who's been suffering from heat exhaustion. Mr. Llewellyn says he gets the same thing if he sunbathes for more than 10 months at a time. And Prince Charles says that he regrets the outcry about his use of the word knackered to describe his condition, and the next time he feels shagged out, he'll keep his gob shut.
The West German Chancellor, Herr Schmidt, has today announced measures designed to bring full employment to Europe, create closer ties between the Allies, and provide a welcome slap in the face for Russian expansionism. He's invaded Czechoslovakia.
And in the Osmond split-up, Donny Osmond has been awarded custody of the teeth.
I see you every night in my dreams. Your face so supple and so chewy. My pillow is wet with teary streams. Fall into the carpet, making it dewy. Oh, Bosanquet, why did you go away? Oh, Bosanquet, why did you leave me this way? Oh, Bosanquet. And now it's only minutes till 10 o'clock. I sit here in my TV chair. In half an hour, I'll switch over old cock. But Reggie, darling, you won't be there. Oh, Reggie, let me call you by your first name. Oh, Reggie, should I hold myself to blame? Don't blame yourself. Oh, Reggie, now. If only I had loved you more, maybe you wouldn't have shut the door. If only I'd written to say how I adore you. Oh, Reggie, oh, Reggie. You know something? All news is bad news since you went away. Oh, Reggie, I miss you, honest I do. Oh, Reggie, oh, Reggie, oh, Reggie, why did you leave me this way? Oh, Reggie, why did you go away? Oh, Reggie, why did you leave me this way? Oh, Reggie,
Hello. Tonight on I Believe, we continue our look at wider Christian issues and ask the question, the devil, is he all bad? Reverend Mountjoy is an Anglican priest who sympathises with the plight of Diabolists, devil worshippers.
I feel in a sense that the devil's had a very bad press, you know? I mean, after all, I mean, what is bad? I mean, here we are in Lambeth, you know. I think modern Christians should have a bit less of the get thee behind me, Satan, and more of the come in me, old mate, and have a cup of tea.
So just how many people are secret Diabolists? People like George and Fiona Timmis. What sort of problems do they encounter?
I don't think there is a problem, really.
Well, murdering.
Well, yes, except for the murdering. That can make a misunderstand. And, you know, if you get an exceptionally difficult...
Goat.
Or...
Or ox.
Yes. Well, of course, you see, then it can make a noise. But you see, the modern-day Diabolist, I mean, we're not really mumbo-jumbo Dennis Wheatley types, really.
It's more up to date.
Exactly.
Coffee mornings.
Yes, and bring and buy sales and that sort of thing.
Bring and buy sales?
Yeah, when I say bring and buy sales, it's more sort of murdering, actually.
Virgins.
Well, yes, you know, rape, coffee of a morning.
It's this aspect of Diabolism which some traditional Christians find hard to relate to.
Yeah, well, I mean, what is a virgin? I mean, I've never met one. no, but seriously. Yeah, I think cautiously I would approve of sacrificing the odd virgin. I mean, fair enough.
But what exactly do devil worshippers believe?
Well, we believe that Satan, the Prince of Darkness, is Lord of the universe and will destroy Jesus through infernal power.
Yeah, obviously, this is a difficult one. I mean, it's a theological grey area. But I think we should keep a broad outlook. I mean, after all, intrinsically, the roots of all religions are the same. Buddhism, for example, is hardly any different from Christianity. And Muslims are exactly the same as Christians, only with more money.
And what form does their worship take?
Well, every full moon we do go up to the heath at midnight, and we do strip ourselves completely naked. And we ravish each other passionately until dawn.
And this helps summon up the forces of evil, does it?
Who cares?
Do you think you will finally become accepted into the church?
I couldn't give a toss.
We regret to announce that Bernard Manning, the comedian who was warned by his doctors to lose 5 stones or die, has today lost 5 stones.